welcome to Wooed Up.
Wooed Up Podcast.
Wooed Up Podcast, where spirituality meets reality.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Kayla Washington.
And my name is Tiffany.
And we are so happy to have you here today for episode 4?
I think it is 4, yes,
Yeah.
4.
Oh my gosh.
We're doing it, girl.
Yes.
Chugga.
We're so excited to have you guys. We are going to be talking about relationships today.
Relationships.
Yes.
And we're going to see how deep we can get into it. We're going to do something a little bit different on this episode. We're going to do an hour long. Instead of chopping it up into 30 minutes, we're going to do an hour. So y'all let us know what you think about that. If you don't like it, we can go back to 30-minute episodes. But I think this is a big topic.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to us diving deep into that. But before we get started, we want to thank our sponsor, Mahal Hut Tea. Ding! What flavor do we have of tea today?
Chai tea.
Salud! Chai tea. I think there's some brown sugar in here, a little bit of cinnamon, and a
Coriander?
whole lot of love.
Mahal love.
Mahal Hut Tea.
Mahal tea.
It's delicious. It's so freaking good. Literally, I would sell my left pinky toe for a lifetime supply.
I didn't know what you were going to say.
You knew what I was going to say, but we're going to let that go. Anywho, big thank you to Mahal Hut Tea for sponsoring this episode, and also huge shout out to BRC. That's my old church.
BRC?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
weird.
yes.
Come full circle.
Yeah,
This is your current church.
I know. I was literally about to be like, oh, my old church. Hot Mess Express. But big thank you to Breathe and Rise Collective for the producing of this podcast. Everything
Absolutely.
that you see, from the lights to the audio to the visual to these gorgeous plants to these lovely chairs. All
Our
huge
favorite
things.
chairs.
I know, favorite
We
chairs. We could
love.
just sit here and just. So huge shout out to BRC. We thank you guys so much for all the hard work that you do in putting this podcast together.
Yes, and if you are not a member, I highly suggest you look into it. It is free, and they provide you services around the community, from anything from sound baths to women's events to, combining spirituality with painting. I think there's a little pottery event that looked
Yes.
really fun that I missed, but
Yeah, we also offer our services as well. So if you guys are not subscribed to BRC's Patreon, we will link all the information down below. So you guys can learn more.
and hit the like button.
Yeah.
Smash the subscribe.
Smash it.
Get on it.
Smash it.
Because we got some juice to talk about.
We do got some juice. Let's go ahead and squeeze it, baby.
Okay, you go first this time.
Me go first?
Yeah.
Me go first in what?
You always ask me the questions first, so here we go.
Okay.
So, relationships.
Yes.
What does relationships mean to you now that you are a spiritual woman, and how do you go about those?
Oh my gosh. Going about relationships whilst connecting in with spirituality. Since this transition for me, there haven't really been very many relationships that I've been a part of since going through this level up spiritual journey. I think that now when it comes to relationships, I'm definitely a lot more intentional about who I allow in my space, not just on a romantic, in a romantic way, but platonic manner as well. But yeah, I have expressed also in the very first episode that I am currently celibate. It has been a very interesting journey, especially as someone who likes to let her freak flag fly a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a woman,
With some needs.
I'm just a woman with some needs, and realizing for me personally what that exchange of intimacy and energy, how important that actually is, and how important it is to protect our energy and to ensure that we are exchanging energy in all capacities with the right person. And I don't just mean when it comes to sex. I also feel that way when it comes to just conversation, to just sharing space with someone. Just the words that you share with another person, like can be a very, very intimate act. And so, when it comes to relationships, it's just a lot to say, like, I think that you're so great. I think that you add value to my life. And I think that you're going to help support me in my growth and development. so that I'm willing to give you any part of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so far, I have not found anyone yet that I have would be willing to even open the door to. So.
And how do you feel about that? I think that it seems like there's two ways to look at that. You know, there's perhaps maybe the loneliness, quote unquote, that you might experience, but also there's maybe the reserving of your energy and how good you might feel now because you're not giving your energy out to energy suckers. So how has that experience been for you overall?
That's a beautiful question. Thanks for asking. And I feel like it's both of those are true realities to my experience. I definitely have felt the excitedness and being able to exist in my own bad bitch energy, knowing that no man is coming into my space and taking from me, to know that I am authentically being able to pour into every single aspect of my life, my friends, my people, my relationships, my work, and not depleting myself in other situations, with people that aren't meant for me. So that definitely has been beautiful. But of course, there are definitely times where your girl feels a little lonely. I think everyone enjoys a good cuddle, everyone enjoys a good cuddle. And everyone, I like to be a little hugged up on, I'll have to hug myself though, and it's bittersweet. I know bittersweetness is definitely something, a term that you connect with and resonate with. And I say most specifically along this celibate journey that definitely is something that resonates for me. It's very bittersweet, but I know it's worth it. And I am so grateful for allowing myself this time to have this experience because I've learned so much about myself, about maybe why I would behave in certain ways or why I would reach to men or intimacy and where that was actually coming from. And learning that more so came from other wounds that I had to heal. And so, trust and believe that sometimes, I'll be like, oh, should I call him? And sometimes I think real hard and heavy about it, but I have not yet. So yeah, there's definitely been times where it's been very close, but always coming back to like my worth and what I deserve that has kept me from crossing that line.
Yeah. And so when you're wanting to reach out to somebody, whatever it might be for, what goes through your mind as far as like the process of, okay, no, Kayla, actually don't do that right now if you choose to not do that, which sounds like you typically do.
Yeah.
What is your thought process and what keeps you from doing that?
Oh, absolutely. I think initially it'll be the thought of like, oh, well, I haven't been intimate with someone in a certain capacity. So whether that is simply just being able to exist in close physical proximity to a man, it's like, oh, that's something that I would enjoy. Then I think like, okay, well, who is someone that I could do that with that I know and would feel comfortable and safe enough doing that with, while also simultaneously recognizing that I am just a girl, and that if I put myself in certain situations where, something may cross the line, I recognize that may be the case. So then I think, well, who would I feel comfortable and safe enough to just share that time and space with? And then does that person actually deserve to exist in my energy? And it's not oh, well, do I just have an itch that wants to be scratched? Because, I can take care of my own business.
I know that's right.
I can and I have on this journey. And I do. But really trying to be intentional behind who just gets to share in my space and share in my energy, and especially something that's so intimate and so close. And as of right now, there's only really one person that I could think of that I would be, willing to we could bump hooters anytime. That goes without saying. But there really is only one person right now that in my life that I would be open to opening that door with. But unfortunately, I just don't think that's in the cards right now.
Yeah.
So.
And everything in divine timing, right?
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. I think it's a hard situation where, the universe is moving in certain ways that sometimes we just may not understand. But things that I know for sure is that I am going to do everything I possibly can to continue to work and grow and stretch in the way that I know is to support me and others along my journey, and that whatever is meant to be will be. And hopefully in due time, I will be even more so in this space to receive that goodness when that goodness is meant to come to me.
Yes. All about being in that receiving energy.
Yeah.
And so I guess that kind of, because I know where I was at with receiving energy and where I'm at now. And so I'm curious, prior to you finding your spirituality, if you feel comfortable talking about it, I mean, obviously as deep as you want to go, maybe even touching base on what wounds you've been able to identify and how you might have been able to correct them to help anybody in our audience that is maybe going through the same thing or healing from those things. I'm curious what your journey was like with that.
Oh, yeah, girl. I definitely have a lot of wounds when it comes to men, to intimacy, relationships. I didn't have my father present in my life. There definitely is a father wound there. And there was definitely this feeling of not enoughness that which was planted in me deeply from the beginning of my childhood, not understanding like, why was I not enough for my father to be able to stick around and be present in my life? And I had a lot of anger and resentment towards him for not being there and not being present. And my mom, she's an incredible woman. I love her with my whole heart. She always ensured to let me know that I was more than enough. And his lack of presence in my life had absolutely nothing to do with me and everything to do with him and who he was at that time and where he was along his journey, right? Absolutely. As an adult, I can check in with that. I can offer grace to him, but definitely as, a child, it's a lot to try to understand the complexities of something as difficult as parental relationships, and how that all ends up shaping out and how that affects children.
Yeah.
So I think that there was definitely, like I said, feeling, not feeling confident, connected to good self-esteem. I didn't have any men in my life at all. I didn't know how men were supposed to love women. I didn't know how. I knew what love was just because I knew the love that I had from my family, from my mom, but that is a completely different thing than romantic love. And so I definitely tried to search for that through, we'll say, boys at that time because I was so young. I mean, I lost my virginity at a very, very young age, just being involved in just crazy shenanigans. And do I have any regrets there? Absolutely not, because it's given me the experiences and the know-how to be able to speak to that as we're doing right now. So I definitely would get into situations and be with, we'll say, boys at that time, in my early teens, and have these experiences hoping that I felt one way during or after the experience and still never quite having that feeling.
Yeah.
Still feeling empty in that way, feeling as though like these boys were supposed to help heal me or show me the love that I couldn't find in myself, that I didn't know was there, and then also that I didn't receive from my father. So I was definitely more on the promiscuous side for sure, just not really understanding, and just reaching for things thinking that the gold was over there when really it was over here. And so,
inside, baby.
Yeah, the gold was inside. And it's so funny when you hear people, talking about this topic, especially to younger women, of like, don't go boy crazy, love yourself. And you're just like, what do you mean love myself? Like, get the fuck out of my face. I love myself. Like, what do you mean love myself? But it's so true. It's like when you really do take stock in who you are and the gift that you are and the incredible being that you are, and to know that anyone who has the opportunity to even sit in your presence, how grateful they should be for that.
Amen, baby.
Then we as women would not put ourselves in the precarious situations that we've put ourselves in the past. And I also feel like there's so many women that are waking up to that now, most specifically with like the 4B movement that's going on, most specifically in Asia, but now happening here in the United States as well, where women are just like, I'm not tolerating this behavior because I deserve better.
What's 4B?
Oh my gosh, you're not familiar?
Talk.
Okay, so the
Talk to
4B
me.
movement is what's going on currently with women, where they are just saying that women are no longer going to be a part of this whole experience of the patriarchy and also how men treat women. And so we'll say, not all men, right? I don't want to be like all men this, all men that, but how divorce rates are extremely high. And the situations women will find themselves when they're married with a partner and the partner happens to cheat on them, or the distribution between responsibilities and duties within the household, or feeling like women have to baby their partner, or they're not getting like an equal partnership, or that conversation of 50-50, but what is actually 50-50. Just that women are just really tired of sitting in the feelings of oppression based off of the patriarchy and based off of how men can typically use women for their gain, and women are then tossed to the side and don't actually receive that level up effect that men tend to have when they're with women. So what women are doing now is they're just saying, fuck it, I'm not being a part of this game anymore. They're getting off of dating apps. They're no longer dating. They're entering into celibacy. They're focusing on themselves. They're focusing on their goals, and aligning with their highest self. And that is relatively like what the 4B movement is about. And I think that a lot of women can align with definitely my story, and I'm sure yours as well, that you'll touch into too. But yeah, it's just, I think that relationships and intimacy for a lot of women, and I'll definitely speak for myself, is rooted in a lot of, trauma to start, because we, or I, just didn't really know what love really was in that way. Nor should, a 16-year-old really be searching for that anyways, but it was a wound that was really deep within myself, and that was expressed through promiscuity, and it took some time to actually be able to sit on the other side of it and recognize my behavior for what it was, and also where it stemmed from, and how I can then take back my power and stand firm in who I am, which is that girl.
100%. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of you too, because I know since, the day that I've met you until now, which seems like forever, you have made leaps and bounds, even just in that category. And, being that girl, becoming that woman who's like, no, I know my worth, I know my value, and I'm no longer going to partake in these types of activities.
Yeah.
And it's been very inspiring to watch you do that, and really allowing me to sit back and reflect on things that I might do on my own that's not showing that I value myself or respect myself, and how I might be able to change my ways as well. So you're always an inspiration to me, and thank you so much for sharing all of that. I know it's been quite a journey, and it will continue to be.
And it will continue to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard out here for a pimp. I say all the time about everything, but I swear, like, especially, for any person that is, that menstruates and goes through their cycle. I mean, we all know that we get these little moments in time where we're like, and there are definitely times where I'll be like, meow. But I got to rein myself in and be like, Haney, calm down, calm down, calm down. So, everything all in a day, take it day by day. And when the universe is ready to, bless me, then I'll be here and ready.
You will be ready.
I'll be here and ready.
Yeah. And that's part of the whole plan, is you'll be ready.
I'll be ready.
I fully believe that.
Thanks, babe. I appreciate you for asking me those questions, and
course.
for your kind words, because it's definitely very much so a challenge, and I'd love to hear more about you and your experience, not just where you are currently in your journey, but also past, because you've lived some life.
I know.
We have both lived so much life, and I'd love to hear more about that part of your life as well.
Oh, goodness sakes. Okay, so I think I want to start talking about first like relationships and what relationships mean to me.
Okay.
Because I always, I too, was missing father figures, or they were in and out, or definitely not stable by any means. And so I constantly was searching for love outside of myself. I was in 3 different 5 to 6 year long relationships on top of other relationships, kind of a continuum, never really a break to reflect upon myself or heal after those relationships, which if you're not taking a break after your relationship and trying to heal or do some self-reflecting,
Yeah.
I beg of you to please do that no matter what, no matter how hard, no matter how lonely. It is so necessary for your healing, especially if you want to have a healthy relationship going forward. And for the entire consciousness of this planet as well.
1000%.
So to me, I was always seeking for that love outside of myself. People would mention, like you said, self-love, and I'm like, yeah, I love myself, but
Yeah.
damn, did I not love myself. I mean, I'll share, throughout this podcast and on my social media, my journey, but you could just see it in photos of myself that I did not love myself. And so through this journey, my last love relationship was almost 3 years ago. And I've been pretty single, like, I've dated some men, but I've been single most of that time. And I realized that there's so much more on this planet Earth to this life when it comes to relationships that is with your family, with your friends,
Absolutely.
and that the love that you're seeking within yourself is not just in, this romantic partner. And so starting to romanticize my own life, whether that be how I wake up in the morning, do I put on a little playlist for myself? Do I take myself to get coffee? Do I do the things that I'd want to do with a love partner? Or do I do it with, a friend?
Yeah.
Going on dates with friends. I think I've found a lot of nourishment that way. And we talk about soulmates, like, where's my soulmate? I want to find my soulmate. Who's my person? And if you found your person, that is beautiful. I hope that you guys continue to grow together and evolve together. But if you're out there searching, I highly urge you to realize that soulmates can be it's more than one person usually that you have in your lifetime. And 2, they can be your friends. And you right here are like my number one soulmate. Like, it's so wild how yin and yang we are, and how much I could go on forever about like
About all the things.
like I eat the outside of the brownies and she eats the center.
She does eat the outside of the brownies, and I'm so grateful for it. Truly. I'm gooped by that. I'm like, the outsides, why?
Because they're crispy.
Okay.
They're
The
good.
insides.
Yeah, you get a little bit of the inside when you get the outside too.
You do.
But yeah, no, it's just, that's what I feel like is so important to recognize, is that soulmates are not just your love partner.
Yes.
It's also the energy that you put into these people.
Yes.
And the relationships, and like, it's okay to cuddle your girlfriend.
Yes.
Like, it's okay to hug them, hold their hand. Those are, you get that loving energy not only cultivated within you, but from those people as well.
Yeah.
And so that's been my kind of like biggest realization, is I can have love energy flowing freely all in my life without having a romantic partner.
Absolutely.
But also along this journey, I have, learned about karmic partners. I've learned about twin flames, and I'm still trying to figure out if those are real or not.
Can you take a moment to talk about the difference between a karmic partner and a twin flame? Because I think I'm still a little rusty on those.
Yeah. Absolutely. So a twin flame, I think that one's the easiest for me to explain, is essentially when you come to planet Earth, you make these soul contract agreements. And the twin flame contract agreement is that your soul is being split into 2. So into two bodies. So like if you and I were twin flames, you would be one half of the soul, I'd be the other half of the soul. So of course you're going to feel this like constant yearning and missing that you don't have your other half, your partner, because you're literally missing half of your soul. And so when it comes together, of course it's electrifying, it's magnifying and magnetic. It's all of the above, but it's also like a direct mirror of like, take a look at yourself, because you're literally looking at your other half. So, and based on my research, I've done a ton of research. Not everybody has a twin flame. Not everybody agreed to come down here and have that, especially not in this lifetime. So that's just like the kind of general gist of that. And I think that there's parts of, when you look at an astrological chart, especially when you do compatibility charts, when you look at two persons' charts together, and when you're looking at those, there's different signs you can maybe find within that. I've never looked to see, as far as astrological charts go, when it comes to a potential twin flame connection. So I don't know exactly what's in that. But what I can speak to is karmic partners and how that's different than twin flames and what that might look like in astrology. And so karmic partners is what it sounds like. It is these partners that you have agreed to in this lifetime meet, and they are here for karmic purposes. You are seeing your karma through. So, what comes around goes around. So potentially in past life, you have created some type of karma where you've come back to this planet in this lifetime where you have agreed to clear karma through another person and to learn your karmic lessons through another person and vice versa with that person. And so, it really depends. There can be different karmic lessons, but I think when you meet a karmic partner, it's pretty obvious. You're going to be just like a twin flame, so magnetized to that person, like you can't deny it. It feels like, and I'm speaking from personal experience, it feels like a soul connection, because it is. It feels like this just deep knowing and this I can't quit you type of energy until that karma has been completed or released. And when you look at astrological charts and composite charts and compatibility charts, you're able to see in there a few different things that would indicate that it possibly is a karmic partner.
Okay, like what?
And so one of the main things is plutonic. So when your Pluto is usually squaring or conjuncting your Sun or your Mars or Venus. So really what that means is the shadow planet, the planet of transformation, is here to shine light on your sun, on literally who you are. And in my karmic situation, I have that with this other person, and that other person has that with me. So my Pluto is squaring conjuncting their sun, and their Pluto is squaring my sun. We also are squaring each other's north node. We're also squaring each other's Mars and Venus. Like, there's just so much squaring and opposing, so much energy happening where we're just like, look at yourself, look at what you're doing, look at your problems, look at your flaws, look at your issues, look at everything that you're not willing to face or that you can't even see. And you don't even have to consciously be doing it. It can be subconscious, where you're like, damn, this person makes me feel like some sort of way and I don't even know why. And in my instance, I fully believe that we've had past lives together where our most recent past life ended in not a positive emotionally ending, essentially. Like we came here and we were, kind of still emotionally battling each other. So when we see each
right
other,
up where you left off, pretty much.
It's like this unconscious, like, I don't know what this is. You're kind of rubbing me the wrong way, or just like this inability to come together harmonically. And is that a right word? Harmonically?
Harmoniously?
Harmoniously.
Harmonica? Is that
So yeah, that's been my learning lesson with kind of what twin flames are supposedly, whether they exist or not, I don't know. And then karmic, I do believe that's fully a thing. And you can see these things in your astrology charts and your natal charts, composite charts with the other person.
I want to do a shameless plug. If you guys are interested in having that information looked at, Miss Tiffany, she is our go-to gal.
I will read that.
Feel free to reach out to her via Instagram, wherever it is that you'd like to find her. She'd be more than happy to give that a gander if you're interested in hiring her to review your chart.
I would absolutely love to do that. It's tiffanymegeorge.com. So that's where I feel like my quote unquote relationships have gone, and like my education on that since my spiritual journey. So I've had those encounters. I've also, for the first time, really had an encounter with someone that is narcissistic. And I know that we throw that word out left and right. People tend to have narcissistic tendencies. But for someone to actually be narcissistic or have narcissistic personality disorder, whether they are diagnosed or not, that's a whole nother beast.
Right.
And of course, those people tend to prey on empaths, and I definitely say that I am an empath. And even though I am highly educated as far as the school system goes, and I am 37 years of age, I thought that narcissistic was just like, oh, they're just full of themselves. But no, it is a whole thing. You know, the love bombing, the hovering, all of it, all the phases. And so I have experienced that as well. And so now I'm very like hyper vigilant of like,
Yes.
are you being a narcissist?
Absolutely.
Like, are you a narcissist? And so that's also been an experience of mine in relationships and getting to know people and trying to love people since my spirituality journey began.
Well, it's also this idea of like wanting to hope that people are being honest about who they say that they are, you know? And I think that you and I both have mentioned many times about this idea of like the spiritual boy or the spiritual man, and someone period who exists within the spiritual community or is aware of spiritual concepts. And we automatically think like, okay, well, if you're woo-woo in whatever capacity, if you're spiritually awake or aligned, then you're also on this path of growth and self-development and healing. And, you know, that's not always the case. One doesn't necessarily indicate the other. And so trying to weed through people who just know the lingo, or someone who, you know, recognizes you as a spiritual person and is like, oh, okay, well, all I have to do is, you know, bust out my bag of rocks and, you know, and I'll be a shoo-in, you know, which back in the day definitely could have been like, oh, this person's a good person because they have a bag of rocks. But, you know, unfortunately nowadays we have to be more vigilant in that way. I think people just have to be vigilant, period, because there are so many different ways in which people, whether it's
Cognizant.
Yeah, exactly. Whether they're cognizant of it or not, the manipulative tactics that they'll utilize in order to, you know, get their fingers into somebody. And so it's this idea of like, how do I see someone for who it is that they're saying that they are, then also having to see that person for their behaviors and their actions, and how much time that takes, you know, in between. So recognizing those early signs of like love bombing and manipulation and anything else that goes into that is super, super important, especially as an empath. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's been, you know, we talk about this often, that as people are awakening, we're having, you know, this great awakening happening, and people are starting to use certain lingo, like, well, you know, the universe must have meant this to be, and whatever other words they might throw out there. And so I'm like, oh, they're talking like this, they must be spiritual, so that means that they have good morals and they're a good person, and that can't be further from the truth. I mean, of course that is an answer that is possible, but I think that when you step more into your spirituality and you become more of this light within this world, and you're shining your light and you're trying to lead by example of, love and light and happiness, and as much as you can, while dealing with your issues as well as you can and healing those.
Yeah.
When people see that light, they're like, ooh, I want that. Maybe even subconsciously, they're like, what is going on with that? And so you start to attract people that are maybe not the love and light that you would think. You're attracting people that are in the darkness, that have a lot of transformation that is needed, that have a lot of learning that needs to be done. And that's part of being a healer, is that you are attracting these people to trigger the healing within them. And so as much as you're like, oh yeah, who's this shorty coming over here? Who's this cutie coming over here? It's like, you need to really, not necessarily have a guard up, but definitely have your wits about you. Because I know before I'd be like, oh, this handsome man wants to get to know me. And now I'm like, of course he does. Like, why would he not?
Yeah.
Because you have to learn how to value yourself. You have to have that love for yourself. And I'm continuously working on that every single day. But once you have those, if you have a karmic partner, once you clear those, you up level.
Yeah.
And you start to be like, damn, now I know, like, you feel the difference. You feel that you're vibrating on a different frequency. You feel that you've up leveled. You feel that that love for yourself has grown exponentially, and you have like an even greater protection around you.
Yeah.
Where you're able to be like, that doesn't seem right. That doesn't feel right.
Yes.
Whereas before it'd be like, no, that's okay. That's just, he's just a human. And no, it's like
You're seeing things clearly.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And life is too short to be like, that's weird, but I'm going to give it a chance. It's like, you know what? No, like, I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for. And what I'm looking for is a partner that is going to provide an up leveling and a support, not a draining.
Absolutely.
Like, if I feel my energy draining when you're around, I'm sorry, but it's it's a na-na.
Absolutely.
Like, you're out.
Well, it's that idea of like, and I think we were talking about this the other day. It's like my cup overflows with love and goodness and support and gifts and time and acts of service and all the things from all of the people that I have around me. Why would I allow someone to come into my life that does not at least meet those same standards of every other person that I have within my life? As far as I'm concerned, you have to be of a higher caliber than the amount of love that I'm getting from the people that are already in my life, because the people that are already in my life are already safe, solid, and good. If anytime you bring someone into your life, you have to also be aware that there is a potential for things to go left. And so that person has to be worth the risk. Yeah. And we have to weigh the risks with clear eyes and a clear mind and a clear heart. And I think for, both of us are lover girls. And so, the idea of like having someone to connect with in that way is beautiful, and would we love to have that experience? Absolutely. But at the same time, really just seeing people and situations for what they are, being able to operate from that level of awareness, that really saves us in so many different ways, so that we can continue to be focused on the work that it is that you and I are both working towards, And so that is a huge, message I would give to anyone who's watching this, who's either, single and is exploring this dating world, or maybe someone who's in a relationship in which they don't feel like they're receiving the support and the love and the abundance from their partner. It's like really taking stock on that and really seeing like, am I getting what I deserve from this person? Would you want any of your friends or your family to be going through whatever experience it is that you're going through? Yeah. And knowing that every single second that you're spending on a person or in a situation that's not meant for you, how that truly can be so damaging to you, to your growth, and really preventing you from becoming anywhere closer to whoever is actually meant for you. Yeah. And so my heart hurts when I see people that are in relationships or in situations where they shouldn't be, or they're not being loved and appreciated for who they are. And I'm like, girly pop, I'd rather do that all by myself than be with someone who isn't gonna love me, care for me, and take care of me, and help me grow, and in all of those capacities. I mean, we had to go down my list, my list is pretty extensive because I just can't allow myself to get into a space like that with someone who isn't, and I don't want to say isn't necessarily deserving, because everyone is deserving of love. But someone that I would risk my peace and my sanity for, yeah,
Yeah.
there are some things.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, as not only do we search for love outside of ourselves, especially before this journey, this healing journey, it's not even necessarily a spiritual journey, it can just be a simple healing journey. But then when we're the type of people that we want to help people, and
Absolutely.
I know the most recent relationship I went into, I was like, relationship, quote unquote, I was like, I'm just gonna test the water with this. Like, I'm strong enough. I'm just gonna go in. I'm gonna see like kind of what help I can do. And the next thing you know, I'm in like a very dark cloud, and I'm not able to see how I'm getting out, or even to see that I'm in a dark cloud. And so it's just, as much as you're even like, is it worth, helping this person, or helping this person come to the light or better themselves because you care about them? It's like, is it worth it for you?
Right.
Because you're the only you that you've got, and you're
Exactly.
the only person that's going to take care of you.
Exactly.
Like, no one's going to take care of you better than you take care of you. You set the standard for yourself. And so if you're setting the standard for yourself of like, this is how I take care of myself, and this is where I'm operating, this is my vibration, my frequency, then the person that comes in is going to need to be, like you said, here or above, so that they can help me rise above, and vice versa, maybe in different areas in life.
Yes.
And so I feel like if you are looking for a relationship outside of yourself, but yet you are still working on things for yourself, that you're not quite, you don't have things quite figured out, maybe it's your career, maybe it's certain situations that you're in that you've not figured out how to get through those. It's like, turn the focus back on yourself and continue working on yourself, because the more that you continue working on yourself and up-leveling yourself, the closer you're going to get to that partner that's going to continue to be there and help you up-level as well.
It's so funny because that is the truth. Like, that is the truth. But do you know how many times, and you have to speak to this as well, like how many times you've heard that same advice and it didn't click, it didn't align for you until it did? Because I can say, like, I heard that so many times, and it's like, it's not this concept of like, because you're not operating from your highest self that you don't deserve love. That's not it at all. It's the love that you're going to allow in is the love that you're going to allow in based off of where you are right now. So if you don't have a deep love for yourself, then any old Joe Schmo is going to be able to come in and take up your space, take up your energy, take, or whatever the case may be. The quality of the love, the time, the support that you're going to get is nothing near what it is that you would expect if you were living in your highest self. If you held yourself accountable for the way that you expect other people to treat you, if you held yourself accountable in that way, then the type of love that you are going to expect to come in is going to be that or more. So, it's also really important to have accountability with yourself too, of recognizing that, life is hard. Life is so hard. It is not easy by any means. And some days are fabulous and some days maybe not so much. But at the end of the day, what we put into ourselves is what we get out.
Yes.
There's not many things in life where you will actually get out what you put in. But energetically, what you put into yourself, you will get out tenfold, because that will permeate through every inch of who you are, and the way that you walk, and the way that you talk, and the way that you stand, and the way that people perceive you. I can't say that I have very many men approach me at all, but definitely not since this transition in my journey. I'll definitely, of course, get looks, and I'll be, looking at people. They're looking at me. I'm like, can I help you? Are you gonna pay this bill or what? No? Well, bye. If anyone out here wants to pay these bills, let me know. Okay, please. Okay, it's hard out here for a temp.
Put
Love
your
ya.
Venmo.
Yeah,
Or Cash App.
yeah. You can send me a little message. Instagram is Golden Glowing Goddess. Just saying. But seriously though, I lost where we're at.
Well, I think it was all about like matching the energy that you're giving out and what you're going to get back. And I wanted to add to that, I don't want anyone to think like if you're not healed, then you don't deserve love and you're not going to get love and it's not going to be a healthy love. That is not true at all.
Right.
We will always be healing
Yes.
for the rest of our life. How beautiful that is that we get to do that
Every day. Every fucking day. I'm so happy.
But it's just that you have to always be choosing yourself first, and you always have to be putting back into yourself first. You
Yeah.
cannot always be serving,
Yes.
the other. Like you have to serve yourself first.
Yes.
And then, and always, like, great, you bring in a partner, man, woman, she, him, they, whoever you bring in. And as long as you keep serving yourself in that relationship still, that's what's going to make that relationship flourish and be beautiful, because otherwise you're going to turn out bitter and upset and it's just going to...
Exactly. Like the negative consequences in interacting with someone that is not going to help you grow to your highest good can be so detrimental. The amount of situations or times where women or men have stayed in relationships that were not serving them, and how if they would have gotten out just a little bit sooner, but
Well, and I think that goes to something that I was talking about with a friend last night, is a lot of times women will stay in relationships so long that by the time they break up, they're already done healing.
oh yeah,
Like they've already
mourned the relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They mourned it while they were in it. And so it's like not necessarily time to move on while the relationship is done or when the relationship is done, but they've done the majority of their healing. That's kind of why there's a lot of the friction before you break up. It's because the woman is like, I am either this is going to come together or we're done. And they know that and they feel that, but they're just giving that person or their partner a chance to kind of
Get it together,
level up, or we're done. And I think in the back of your mind, you typically know, like, okay, like there's no way that this is going to happen. And, it's not a thing of like, I want you to change for me. It's like, you need to love yourself enough that you are going to be on this healing journey for yourself.
Yes.
Not for me, for
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's something a lot of men will stay in relationships because they're complacent. They've got that caretaking, they've got that mother energy, they've got that comfortability, they've got, the home or whatever it might be that's being offered in that relationship that they're not going to have when they go back to their bachelor pad because it's ended. The woman probably ended it. At least that's, my history and what I feel like a lot of times women come to me and talk to me about, and men. I've had a lot of men come to me telling me that they're unhappy in their relationships, and I'm like, well, what are you doing to get out of it?
Yep.
And they just stay because they're lazy, because they're complacent, because they're comfortable. And as far as the stories go that I've been told, the women are unhappy. They're not happy, and they're sitting there and they're staying in these relationships hoping that someone, something, somewhere is going to change. And that's not that. It's not going to happen that way. And I mean, it could, but that's not what I've witnessed or experienced.
I feel like when it comes to relationships, there is always this deep internal knowing if something is for you or if it's not for you, regardless of whether you want to listen or believe in that.
Yeah.
You always know.
Yeah.
You always know. And for me, I've been in, 5+ year, relationship, was engaged even. And there was that knowing of like that this unfortunately isn't it as much as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And And it's unfortunate because sometimes two people just aren't meant to be for forever. And I fully believe that everyone comes into your life for a reason. What do they say? For a reason or for a season. And sometimes we have to just sit back and appreciate a person for their purpose in your life, because we are here to bump into each other, to help each other along their growth and their journeys. And if we would just see that and appreciate those situations for what they were, I think that we as people would have a little bit more ease when it comes to maneuvering through relationships. I don't know why relationships, or the topic of relationships, just gets so sticky, because in conversation about platonic relationships, I
It's
think
easy
that
breezy.
it's, and not always, right? Some people
Well,
have a
yeah.
lot of trauma when it comes to relationships, platonic relationships. But romantic relationships and familial relationships, those are like, they can get so messy. And it's so interesting because you think that your romantic partner and your family should be like two vines off like the umbrella or the tree of love that should be so deeply rooted and so cohesive, but they tend to be the messiest. And so I think everyone is just out here trying their best to maneuver through these situations with people, in whatever way that they know how. But the more you know, the better you do. And I think that we just want to see everyone living in love for themselves, living in love through the people that they actively choose to have in their life. And then through that, romantic partners that may come that may be able to exist in the same capacity of love. And I think that if you're able to have that with openness, with honesty, and willingness to grow together, then it should be as easy as that. Unfortunately, that's not always the case.
Well, I think you mentioned everyone's just out here trying their best, but I feel like some people aren't trying at all. And I think some people aren't awake at all, to even know that they even have things that they need to heal. Some people are in such a victimhood that they're like, well, they did this and they did that and them, they. And it's like, at what point do you reflect back and be like, oh, I thought this about everyone in my life, but in reality, if I would have listened to everyone in my life, they were all saying the same damn thing about me. And so it's like a lot of people need this like awakening and this help to heal themselves and get out of this victimhood of like, it's everybody else's fault but mine. And as long as we have all those people running about in this world, it's going to be really hard to find those conscious partnerships because I think right now they're fewer and far further between. I do think that women are healing exponentially faster than men. And I think that there is a lot to be said about that. And I think it's understandably so. And I think it's because in order to heal, you have to feel. And in order to feel, you have to admit you have emotions and you have to feel things. And when you have been told your entire life, all of society, generationally, that if you are going to have emotions or feel as a man, then you are gay or you are, I don't know, what other terms do they use? Pansy, you're a girl, you're weak, you're not a true man. And then not only that, but you also have this ancestral trauma, this DNA, where for centuries and generations, you as a man have had to go to, or families have had to go to war, and you're hunting. And so alongside of you, you've got your family or your friends. And if you're going to sit there and emote or feel, you're dead, or you're not able to accomplish whatever it is that you're out there to accomplish. And so DNA wise, and even just societal and just limiting beliefs, as a man, you've been taught, it's ingrained in your body that having emotions or feeling things is not safe. And if you don't feel safe to have emotions, then you cannot heal. And if you cannot heal, you're just going to continue being out here in this world doing the same thing that you've been doing, because it's going to take so much work to heal yourself. More, I would even say, than a lot of women, because as women, we're used to community. We're used to feeling. We're used to coming together. We're out here shaking our asses to heal. You know, it's like we've got it kind of locked down. We just need to bring this to more women, and I think it'll help more women quickly and exponentially. But for men, I really do feel for you, because I know how badly you all want to connect, and you don't even know how or where to start. And some men out there do, and some men out there are healing, and some men out there are spiritually inclined and making connections and having healthy relationships. Obviously, it's not all men.
Right.
But a majority of men are lost and scared. And as humans, we all want connection. We want to be with a partner. And I think that as men, they have something very incredible to offer the relationships, and I think women do as well. And I think what men offer relationships and what women offer in relationships are quite different. And when I say men and women, I mean if you're male identifying or female identifying, it doesn't matter.
And the non-binaries.
Yes, there's all of the above. And there's, you know, we all as humans have feminine and masculine energy within us, some more than others, one way or the other. But I think that it's all about honoring the other and what they have to offer, and that what we want from the other is what we don't have or exude as much in ourselves.
Right.
So as a woman, you know, I'm learning, let me talk about myself. I'm learning to receive. I'm learning to sit back and surrender. I'm learning to create a safe space for emotion. I'm learning to guide intuitively. And as I am doing that, what I'm looking for in a partner is a partner to lead, a partner to hold a safe container for me to emote in, a partner to provide. And so I think it's a beautiful thing when you combine the masculine and the feminine energies together to create a relationship, a love relationship, and that once we all heal on this planet more and help each other heal, that we will be able to find those connections and those relationships that we all seek so desperately. But until then, continue working on yourself. Continuing doing what you love, what lights you up, what makes you happy, and doing that inner healing work. And of course, everything in divine timing.
I feel like you just took us to church right there. It's so important, everything that you mentioned about men and societal expectations, societal standards, and not just in relation to societal norms, but also genetically, and how ancestrally and generationally, how that, of course, compacts and compounds itself onto behaviors and thought processes. And so I think that that's a big reason why you and I feel so called to, you know, create spaces now for men to be able to show up authentically and genuinely and feel safe to be seen and heard and express and heal and love on themselves and others. And how magical it is when men can come together and heal. I feel like you want to talk about generational curses being released. I mean, I think that that's extremely powerful. So I'm really looking forward to us holding those spaces and those offerings coming here soon, because it's going to be magical. I'm so excited. At first, for a while, you know, I thought, oh no, I'm a woman, I can't lead a man in healing. A man needs to do that. But I don't think that's true at all. I think we all help each other heal. Absolutely.
I think we all sit here and teach each other what we know and share our experiences and support one another, male, female, non-binary. And if we can, you know, we've already been doing the work, we've been holding the healing spaces. If we can do that for men, I am so honored to do
Yeah.
that, and I can't wait to see what this journey takes us on. So stay tuned for what we
Yeah.
have to offer for our upcoming workshops,
Yeah.
men's circles and women's circles. And if you have any ideas or suggestions, we are so open because we're here for you.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing this work, is for you. So
Absolutely. I'm so glad that we were able to talk about this. Relationships is such a huge topic. It's a big thing. What is it? A career, love, and money. Those are the big things. We touched on love. We'll definitely hit on career, and I'm sure we'll be hitting on money here soon. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. Let us know what you think about the hour-long time frame. If that works for y'all, then hey, we might just keep that going. Comment down below if you have any topic requests or suggestions that you'd like us to speak to next time. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us.
thank you.
Bye.